Hello, my name is Ryan Gottfredson, and I'm the author of The Elevated Leader, and I am passionate about helping people and leaders elevate to higher levels of being and of effectiveness. And when I work with organizations, I will generally work with elevating the leaders within those organizations. But sometimes I'm fortunate to work with the HR or L&D teams within organizations to help them better understand how they can elevate the leaders in their organization. And in this little video, I want to speak to them. But I think the leaders over here can get some value from this as well. One of the things that I'm increasingly learning as I study personal and leadership development is the essential importance of focusing on neuroscience when it comes to personal and leadership development. The more we know about the mind and how it works should completely change how we work with and elevate ourselves and others. Let me give you a taste for this. So one of the things that I know about leadership is that the effectiveness of leadership is based upon the quality of the decision-making of the leaders. Would you agree? Okay, well then what goes into the decision-making of the leaders? Let me give you one perspective from neuroscience. And one of the things that neuroscientists have found is that there's 3 brain networks that work together to help us process the information within our world. These 3 brain networks are the salience network, which is home for our kind of emotions, our default mode network, which is home of our non-conscious thought, and our central executive network, which is home of our conscious thought. And what we know is that the healthier these brain networks and the healthier the connection between these brain networks, then the more accurately we encode and process the world around us. Now, these brain networks are working beneath the level of our consciousness, and they are dictating the quality of the inputs that are coming in and the quality of what we do with those inputs once they do get into our brain. So what we've learned is that sometimes one of these brain networks might become stronger than another. For example, if the salience network is stronger than the default mode network, that will lead to that person being more hyper-vigilant. They'll be more on edge. They'll be more anxious. They'll be more easily thrown outside of their window of tolerance, which surely affects their ability to process and to make sound decisions. Also, another challenge that could be had with these 3 brain networks is they may not be as strongly connected as they should. And in those instances, people that have those weaker ties between the brain networks, they generally struggle with things like impulse control, with being organized. They struggle with the relationship with time. Now, one of the things we should understand is that we all have deficiencies as it relates to these 3 brain networks and how they work together. And that impacts how we process and navigate our world, whether it's us, whether it's others, whether it's leaders, whether it's subordinates. We all have our networks just don't work perfectly together, but we can always improve their connective functionality. And that's what we should be focusing on, because the reality is we can teach employees and leaders, here's what you need to do, here's why you need to do it, and here's how to do it. But at the end of the day, if we are not improving the connective functionality of these brain networks, all of that training could go right out the window in the moments of stress, tension, etc. in the workplace. So the reality is that our development efforts should focus on improving the connective functionality of these 3 different brain networks. What we do when we do this is we're getting to the root of how a leader operates. This is the ultimate at dialing it back to the root cause of most leadership issues, which is ultimately this connective functionality of these brain networks. Okay, so if you get that, what do we do about it? Well, at a high level, I think that there's 3 kind of layers we could go through to think through this. At the first level, it's all about awareness. It's helping leaders to understand these concepts and helping them to understand the neuroscience here behind how they think, process, and operate. The second layer is then to start to do some work on that. When I work with organizations, I generally focus on mindsets as a way to step into this. It seems like a good entry ground, and we are connecting to these 3 different brain networks and how they operate. And then there's an even deeper layer. This is when we actually might need to step into engaging in different forms of therapy. This could be psychological therapy, it could be neurofeedback therapy, it could be psychedelic assisted therapy. All of these different types of therapies have been proven to improve the connective functionality of these three different brain networks. Now, some work better than others and for different issues, but all of those have been proven effective. And how many leadership development programs do you know that step into those levels? Not very many. In fact, I would say that most leadership development efforts don't even make it to that first step. But that's something that I think every organization can at least do, is get to that first step. But of course, we're going to get more and more value the deeper we go. So hopefully you found this helpful to kind of unpack the neuroscience behind leadership development.